So are we winning now? Are we? Because it's too late to take your vote back, you selfish fuck. Hi, how you doing? Sorry for this lighting setup and everything. I'm still getting everything together, and it's kind of funny because I can make things like that pretty much effortlessly when I'm in the studio. Yet here at home, things kind of look like this, which is quite honestly, I be tired. I work a lot. But speaking of tired, it is 4 a.m. in the morning, and yet I am making a video about Trump's big monstrous bill because it's that important to me. So let's jump right into it. I quite honestly would love to make fun things on this channel. I have a video about a PCV valve that went completely disastrous that I've been working on and would love to upload. However, I can't because of things like this, because I feel passionate about these situations that are happening. I've been seeing stories about Trump voters who are now regretting their vote. You know, they would love to take their vote back. And quite honestly, I despise them. I despise the fact that I have to share the planet with these people. I despise these individuals who cared about nobody but themselves. They knew of the cruelty that was happening in this administration this year with all the deportations. Hell, they knew about it happening in the previous Trump administration, but they didn't care. They didn't care about the children being deported. They didn't care about the families being broken up. They didn't care about the stupid bombings that were happening in Yemen and Iran. Well, no, it wasn't Iran then, but it is now, but Iraq and just all over. They didn't care about the soldiers who needlessly lost their lives because Trump approved a raid that everybody else had passed on, including Obama. They didn't care about none of that. But the moment their spouse, who they already knew was an immigrant, got deported, that's when they cared.
The Department of Homeland Security is responding to a Team 10 story about a Canadian woman who was arrested by ICE at her green card interview for being in the U.S. illegally. The mother of three supported President Trump's campaign promise to launch the largest deportation of criminals in American history, believing only violent offenders would be targeted.
The moment a bill passed that made them realize, oh, this is going to affect my health care because I only make $50,000 a year or less. Suddenly, they care. I despise those people. They're going to receive none of the benefits of the tax cuts, but going to receive every ounce of the pain. Yet now they're crying out for help. Who I also despise are those who grift for capital and clout, who are now shocked, they say, about the Trump administration saying that, well, hey, Epstein had no client list. I didn't vote for this. I can't believe he's protecting PDF files. Bullshit. None of that mattered to them when Trump was talking about forcibly grabbing the kitty. You know, locker room talk. By the way, and this is just a little tangent, I found that a little offensive when he said his locker room talk because I've been in a few locker rooms, and the locker rooms are unhinged places. They get pretty raunchy. They get pretty wild. But we don't just sit around talking about, hey, we're just going to force ourselves on women. Now, you may have one teammate say that after pretty much sexually harassing all the males in the room. But then after they say it, it's going to be followed by a hey, yo, from somewhere else that nobody knows where it comes from. And then that person's going to be nicknamed Pussy Grabber from forever. That's pretty much how the locker room goes. And I just had to get that out because when he said that, it annoyed me then, and years later, it annoys me now. But more importantly, back on the topic, they didn't care about that. Just like how they didn't care about Trump being a close associate of Epstein. You just had to do a quick Google and to look it. It was well known. And if I know it and others knew it, they knew it too. But now you have prominent Trump cult figures, or grifters we should call them, like Frog Boy and the Sambo twins suddenly going, I didn't vote for this. I didn't do it. They're lying. We all know they're lying. They need to sell the lie. And quite honestly, I despise those people. But the people that I don't despise are those that are going to suffer. I often talk about on here how for the last 2 years, going from 2023 to earlier this year, 2025, on how I was living out my car for basically reasons that I chose. But what I don't really talk about much is how I was homeless from 2017 to early 2022. Basically, the entirety of my university experience when I transferred from my community college. I don't really talk about it that much, as that was more in the past, and the car living situation, what I chose to do was more recent. However, when I was living like that, I was bouncing from couch surfing to motels to extended stays. And I say this because I met a lot of people while doing it. People of all kinds. Some people who were lazy, some people who are laid off and fell on hard times, some people who were drug addicts, some people who were just, hey, shit happens in life. And some people who, were victims of things, like victims of situations like domestic violence. In fact, the one person I'm going to mention, that was exactly her story. And she was a older lady, probably could be like my mom's age, a little slightly younger from what I would guess, but she was a nice lady. I don't know where she's at now, and I hope she's doing fine, but she was a victim of domestic violence. She had her son with her as well, who was helping take care of her. But, he worked, she worked, but he also dealt with his own things because of the household situation. And she ended up where we were at, the motel we were at, because of the fact that she was in a women's program. She wasn't there because of welfare or social services or any of that. No, a program that was helping her get out the house, helping her get out of that environment is why she was there. And she had a car, she had a job, and she had hair. And then one day she didn't. I mean this literally. One day I saw her and she had hair that went down to here and was, living her life. And then the next time I saw her, in between me working and doing other stuff, she was bald, because her life had turned upside down. Out of nowhere, she had a chronic autoimmune disease that pretty much had her fall ill, have a lot of pain, and lose her hair. So because of that, she couldn't work. And while I personally don't know what her healthcare situation was, because we didn't discuss it, we talked a lot. I never went to the fight, hey, who's your healthcare provider? I do know for a statistical fact, it's a non-zero chance that there's somebody right now at this very moment who's dealing with a similar situation like that relies on Medicare. And it's being cut. There are people that rely on these services because life can change in a blink of the eye. I know this. 32 days ago, I was in a hit and run. I went from having my week planned out, having a good week of working out, working, and having bills paid, to suddenly having constant pain in this left wrist, which I have to go see specialists now to understand what's going on. I cannot, for the life of me, do a plank or push-up without being in severe pain because of this. And I'm someone that prides myself on being strong. Just in a moment, a person running a red light had me going from hey, everything's planned out and mapped out and going well, to suddenly my car is disabled. The bills I just paid off are now racking back up, and I can't really do anything. So I literally went from, hey man, I'm gonna have my bench press back at 315 by June 20th, going strong, gonna have my cleans and my front squat back up, to now I have to see specialists. And I have a higher car insurance rate. All because a man ran a red light at a blind intersection at that. Life can change that fast. People rely on these services because of that. That's the whole point of the so-called social contract. And yet, the people who have the funds to not really have to worry about any of this still have this immense greed and need to take more and more. And I cannot grasp or understand why. I just can't grasp it. And when we're talking about the socioeconomic or structures and all that, sure, whatever. You can give me all the ills of capitalism and the unending growth that's impossible. And yes, I get it. I understand that. But I'm talking about on a human level, on a personal level, as a being of existence level. I do not understand it. You have everything. Why must you need to take more? You give me all the material wealth in the world, and I am making art, I am building cars, and I'm working out, as well as helping my community, making some type of scholarship funds and doing other things, because that's what I believe in. This right here is a 2010 Dodge Viper ACR. That's what I want with my material wealth, as well as like things I want to do with my Camry. This back here is an image I created, and it's what I love to do. And you give me unlimited money, that means I have more free time to make things like that. That's what I do. I don't get it. I just don't understand it. And part of me thinks maybe it's like a failure of personality traits. The fact that they don't really have any type of personalities besides scamming and scheming. So, their desire for this money, this fictional bullshit it's the only thing they can really do, because they don't have anything else. And, maybe that makes sense, because Elon Musk is kind of a loser. Jeff Bezos, yeah, he might be roided up now, but he was kind of a loser. Mark Zuckerberg, we make fun of him. We say he's a lizard because he has no personality. Kind of a loser. Bill Gates, you can give me Microsoft and all that. He thought he could fix the educational system, and he couldn't. He needed something to put his mark on, because kind of a loser. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But what I do know, and what I can tell you, this whole social contract, as of this bill, it's dead. It's officially dead. There is no more social contract. We are not a free people that are governed by ourselves and the laws we create. No, us common folk, we are an enslaved people who are governed by those who have the power to create whatever legislation they want to benefit them. We're just gears in the machine of them. We don't matter. And those who are working class that voted for this and are now screaming to the heavens for help, all I gotta say is, I hope you can see this, because I'm doing it as hard as I can. And that's the video.